Assalamualaikum and hi. So today I will present to you about the effectiveness of fiscal stimulus packages in Malaysia and empirical analysis of post-COVID recovery. So first of all, my name is Khaulah Batrisyia binti MOHD FAISAL. My matrix number are 25BB03001. So for the introduction, the COVID-19 pandemic triggered an economic crisis unlike any nation had faced since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. The government decision to implement a movement control order, which is MCO, in March 2022, while essential for public health, caused a sharp and sudden stop to most economic activities. This results in a dual supply and demand shock as businesses were forced to shut down, which is on supply side, and consumer ability and willingness to spend plummeted, which is on demand side. Consequently, key economic indicators such as GDP, unemployment, and income experienced a severe and unprecedented decline. This dire situation necessitated a swift and robust response from the government. So for the second one, which is objective evaluating the fiscal response. In response, the Malaysia government launched a series of comprehensive fiscal stimulus packages, including the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package, which is Prihatin, and the National Economic Recovery Plan, which is Bencana. These packages, with a combined value exceeding hundreds of billions of ringgits, were designed with three main objectives. The first one is to preserve the welfare of the people. This was done through direct cash transfers such as Bantuan Prihatin Nasional, which is BPN, the shortcut one, and allowing withdrawal from the Employee Provident Fund, which is EPF, which aim to provide immediate financial relief to households. And the second one is to support businesses. Measure like the wage subsidy program, which is WSP, and loan moratoriums were introduced to help companies, especially small and medium-sized enterprise, manage their cash and flow and avoid mass layoffs. And the third one is to stimulate the economy. The package included initiatives like tax incentive and grants to encourage spending and investment, which were critical for a post-pandemic economic rebound. Next, which is theoretical framework. On the first side which is on Keynesian economics. This is the cornerstone of modern fiscal stimulus. John Maynard Keynes argued that during an economic downturn, a lack of aggregate demand leads to a recession. The government can intervene by increasing its spending or cutting taxes to inject money into the economy. This creates a multiplier effect, which is where each dollar of government spending leads to more than a dollar's worth of economic output. For example, a direct cash transfer to a household encourages them to spend, which boosts revenue for our businesses, allowing it to pay its employees and so on. The second one is supply side economic. While less central to immediate stimulus, this theory suggests that cut tax and other incentives for businesses like wage subsidy and tax reliefs can increase an economic productive capacity. By reducing the cost of doing business, the government encourages firms to invest, innovative, and hire more people. This perspective is particularly relevant to analysis of the wage subsidy program, which is WSP that I talked about, and its effectiveness in lowering the unemployment rate, and it is directly targeted the supply side of the labor market. The next one is past studies. Global financial crisis, which is on 2008 to 2009, many countries including the US and China implemented large scale of stimulus packages. Studies by the IMF and OECD generally found that fiscal stimulus was effective in mitigating the downturn, but the magnitude of the multiplier effect varied. They often concluded that target spending, like example on infrastructure or direct aid, had a larger and faster impacts than broad tax cuts. Analysis of Malaysian target measures like Bantuan Prihatin Nasional (BPN) and the wage subsidy program can be compared to their global findings. The second one is COVID-19 pandemic specific literature, which is the sheer scale of the COVID-19 stimulus packages has led to a new wave of research. Recent study by organizations like the World Bank and Bank Negara Malaysia have begun to evaluate the effectiveness of these measures in various countries. For instance, BNM reports on the Malaysian economy frequently credit the fiscal stimulus for supporting domestic demands and preserving jobs. The next one is methodology approach. The Malaysia government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic involved a multi-phase approach, which was reflected in a series of economic packages. These packages evolved from providing immediate relief to households and businesses to focus on long-term economic recovery. Key packages and their focus, which the number one is Prihatin. The full name is Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package. Launched in March 2020, this was the first and largest package valued at 250 billion. Its primary focus was on immediate relief to soften the impact of the Initial Movement Control Order, which is MCO. The key measure included in Bantuan Perhatian Nasional, which is BPN, a direct cash transfer program providing financial aid to low and middle income households and individuals. This was a critical measure for ensuring the basic safety nets. The second one is WSP, Wage Subsidy Program, a program that helped employers retain their workers by subsidizing a portion of employee wages. This was instrumental in preventing mass layoff. The second method is Penjana, which is National Economic Recovery Plan. Announced in June 2020, this package had a value of 35 billion ringgit Malaysia and shifted the focus toward economic recovery. It aimed to help businesses and the economic transition into a new normal. The measure included WSP 2.0, an extension and enhancements of initial WSP, demonstrating the government commitment to supporting labor market. And next one is tax relief and incentives. Various tax reliefs were introduced for individual and businesses to stimulate consumption and investment. This included incentive for the purchase of cars and tax deduction for home renovation. Last but not least of the method is other significant package, which is, as the pandemic and lockdown continued, the government introduced more packages to provide ongoing support, which is Kita Prihatin on September 2020, an additional package worth 10 billion that enhance existing measures, providing more direct cash aid and extending the wage subsidy program. The second one is Pemulia, the full name Package Perlindungan Rakyat dan Pemulihan Ekonomi. A later and extensive package valued at 150 billion announced in mid-2021 during a renewed MCO. It focused on comprehensive aid, including a new round of cash transfer, which is Bantuan Khas COVID-19, and a further extension of the wage subsidy to help people and businesses weather the prolonged lockdown. The next one is key finding and data. The impact of fiscal stimulus and empirical review, which is on 2020 until 2023. The Malaysia government fiscal stimulus packages serve as critical macroeconomic intervention during the COVID-19 pandemic. By analyzing key economic indicators from 2022 to 2023, we can empirically evaluate their effectiveness in mitigating the downturn and fostering a recovery. The first one is impact on GDP growth. The fiscal measures were instrumental in cushioning the initial economic shock and powering the subsequent recovery. As you can see here On the 2020, the shocks, which mean the Malaysian economy contracted by negative 5.6%, the worst performance since Asian financial crisis. Without the stimulus, this decline would have been far more severe, as the economy was hit by both supply side, which is lockdown, and demand side, which is reduced spending shock. And then the second one on 2021 here, as you can see, which is up above slow recovery. The GDP growth was a modest at 3.1%. The stimulus had stabilized the economy, but continued partial lockdowns and external uncertainties slowed the pace of recovery. The next one is 2022. This is the most highest one, which is strong rebound. The economy roared back with an 8.7% growth rate. This strong performance was driven by the full reopening of the economy and a surge in the domestic demand, which was bolstered by the stimulus supported household income and businesses continuity. And this next one is the 2023 year, which is stabilization. Growth moderated to 3.7%, a more sustainable rate reflecting the weakening global demand on a return to pre-pandemic economic norms. The second one, we can see the impact on unemployment rate here on my slide. Wages subsidy program, which is WSP, and other job related initiatives were exceptionally effective in stabilizing the labor market. On 2022, as you can see here, peak unemployment, which is the unemployment rate, peaked at 5.3% in May 2020, a level not seen in decades. The WSP was crucial in preventing a cascade of job losses by providing a financial lifeline for businesses to retain their workers. On 2021, as you can see here, gradual improvement, which is the rate slowly improved to an annual average of 4.6%, demonstrating that the fiscal support was working to stabilize employment. And then the 2022 steady decline. The unemployment rate continued its downward trend, falling to 3.9%. And lastly, 2023, as you can see, slow down, a full recovery. By the end of 2023, the unemployment rate reached 3.3%, effectively returning to pre-pandemic level and signaling a full recovery of the labor market. As you can see here, they are downward like that. And then, last but not least, is impact on household income. The stimulus packages provided a vital safety net that protected household finance and spurred consumer spending. The first one is direct financial aid. Measures like Bantuan Perhatian Nasional provided direct cash transfer to millions of households, ensuring they had the funds to meet essential needs and sustain consumption. The second one is EPF withdrawal. The government decision to allow special withdrawals from the Employees Provident Fund, which is EPF, injected a massive amount of cash into the economy, direct supporting household liquidity and spending. And lastly, income and inequality data. The Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) report shows that mean monthly household income grew by 2.5% annually between 2019 and 2022, reaching 8,479 ringgit Malaysia in 2022. Additionally, the Gini coefficient, a measure of income inequality, slightly decreased from 0.407 in 2019 to 0.404 in 2002. This suggests that the target natures of the stimulus packages benefit lower income group, disproportionately helping to narrow the income gap. The next one is policy implication and practical recommendation for Malaysia. The empirical findings for Malaysia fiscal stimulus packages offer crucial lessons for both domestic and global policy making. The post-COVID recovery highlights a shift from short-term relief to building a long-term resilience. Practical recommendation for Malaysia. The first one is strengthen social protection. While cash transfer were effective, they were implemented in a piecemeal fashion. Malaysia should move toward a more centralized and comprehensive social safety net that can be rapidly activated during future shocks. The ongoing development of a centralized database like Pangkalan Data Utama (PADU) is a key step in assuring better targeting and reducing exclusion errors. This will help a larger number of vulnerable people, including those in the informal economy, get the help they need more efficiently. The second one is enhance fiscal buffers. The large-scale spending during the pandemic has increased Malaysia's national debts. The government must focus on fiscal consolidation to rebuild its fiscal space. This can be achieved through broadening the tax base, exploring a more comprehensive tax system, such as a targeted goods and services tax, which is GST, or a capital gains tax could provide a more stable revenue stream. The second one is targeted subsidies. The recent move to target subsidies, example diesel subsidies, is a positive step. This should be expanded to other areas to reduce leakage and free up government funds for high-impact social and development projects. The third policy implication is invest in structural reforms. The pandemic exposed the need for a more resilient and a productive economy. Policy should now focus on the number one is digital transformation. Use fiscal policy to incentivize businesses to adopt digital technologies and automate processes which will boost productivities and prepare the economy for future disruption. The number two is upskilling the workforce. Allocate resources to training and reskilling program to address skill mismatches and prepare workers for a higher value jobs. Last but not least, which is a conclusion. Based on the analysis of Malaysia post-COVID recovery, the country faced a severe economic crisis following the implementation of the Movement Control Order in 2020, which created a dual shock to both supply and demand. In response, the Malaysian government enacted several large-scale fiscal stimulus packages including Prihatin and Penjana, totaling hundreds of billions of ringgits to protect livelihoods and support businesses. These measures included direct financial aid, wage subsidy, loan moratoriums, and an incentive to encourage job creation and businesses continuity. The policies were instrumental in a swift economic recovery, which saw a GDP rebound and an unemployment rate fall significantly from its pandemic peak. In conclusion, the fiscal stimulus packages were effective in mitigating the severe economic fallout from the pandemic. While the economy has shown strong resilience with improving GDP, investment, and rebound in the tourism sector, some challenges persist. These include issues like underemployment and wage stagnation despite increased productivity, highlighting the need for continued structural reform to ensure inclusive and sustainable growth. Overall, Malaysia's proactive and expansionary fiscal policy helped the country navigate the crisis and set the stage for a strong, although at times uneven post-pandemic recovery. Thank you for listening until the end. Wrong come from me, the right come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And excuse for my cracked voice. That's all for today. Assalamualaikum.